In our everyday lives, we often notice how people respond to problems differently. For some, even the tiniest issue, a missed call, a delay, or a small disagreement, can feel like a heavy burden. They carry it in their hearts, letting it eat away at their peace. On the other hand, there are people who face big struggles, loss, failure, or hardship, and still manage to remain calm and composed. The problems may be different, but the real difference lies in the size of their hearts. Those who keep their hearts small, like a narrow glass, find no space for pen. It takes over everything. But those who make their hearts vast, like a wide lake, don't allow suffering to overpower them. There was once a young man named Ryan. He was in his early 20s, an age full of dreams, hopes, and ambitions. Yet instead of excitement, Ryan's heart was heavy. He had been searching for a job but faced rejection after rejection. His family, though loving, often pressured him. When will you find work? How will you support yourself? Your future is slipping away. These words pierced his heart, turning his worries into deep sadness. Ryan often thought, maybe I'm just unlucky. Maybe nothing good will ever happen to me. We carried this constant storm inside, unable to find peace. One afternoon, trying to escape his restless thoughts, Ryan walked to a small cafe in town. He sat in a corner with a simple cup of tea, staring blankly at the steam rising from the glass. The warmth of the drink did little to warm his spirit. At the next table, a group of older men were engaged in lively conversation. Though Ryan wasn't trying to listen, their voices reached him clearly. One of the men said, "Do you know that old man who lives behind the hills? He seems ordinary, but he is full of wisdom. People say he has the power to change the way you look at life." Another nodded eagerly. "That's true. My son was struggling badly. His heart was heavy with sadness. But after talking with the old man, he found peace." It's as if the old man lightened the burden just by speaking. Ryan's ears sharpened at their words. He thought, maybe this is what I need. My life feels broken. If this man can truly guide people, perhaps I can find some hope too. The seed of curiosity grew into determination. That evening, Ryan set out on a long walk toward the hills. The path was quiet, the sun setting behind the trees, painting the sky with shades of orange and gold. As he walked, he thought about all his problems, each step carrying the weight of his worries. Finally, he reached a small, simple house at the edge of the forest. There, sitting peacefully outside, was the old man people had spoken of. His white beard flowed gently in the breeze, and his eyes seemed calm, as though they had seen both the beauty and the pain of the world. Ryan approached him slowly and said, "Grandpa, my heart is heavy. My life feels full of sadness. I don't know how to be happy. Please, tell me what I should do." The old man looked at him with gentle eyes, listening carefully. He did not speak immediately. Instead, he stood up silently and walked into his house. Ryan felt confused. Did I say something wrong? Maybe he doesn't want to help me. But something inside told him to wait. After a few minutes, the old man returned. In one hand, he carried a glass of clear water. In the other, he held a small bowl filled with salt, and handed the bowl to Ryan and said softly, "Take a handful of salt and put it into this glass of water and drink." Though puzzled, Ryan followed the instruction. He dropped the salt into the glass, stirred it, and took a sip. Immediately, his face twisted in discomfort. "It tastes awful. I can only taste the salt." The old man nodded calmly. "Now take another handful of salt and come with me." They walked together until they reached a wide, peaceful lake nearby. The golden reflection of the evening sun shimmered on the water. Birds flew overhead, their cries echoing across the stillness. The old man pointed to the lake. "Now throw the salt into the water." Ryan obeyed. The grains disappeared instantly into the vastness of the lake. The old man then said, "Now take a sip from the lake." Ryan knelt down, cupped his hands into the water, and drank. To his surprise, the water tasted fresh and pure. He looked up in amazement. "I don't taste any salt at all." The old man smiled gently. "My son, the amount of salt is the same, but the water is different. When you put the salt in a small glass, it made the water bitter. But when you put it in a vast lake, the bitterness disappeared." Pain in life is like salt. The amount of pain doesn't change, it comes to everyone. But how much of that pain you feel depends on the size of your heart. If your heart is small, like the glass, Even a little pain will make your whole life taste bitter. But if your heart is large, like the lake, even great sorrow will not overwhelm you. They both sat by the lake as the old man continued. The glass and the lake are symbols of patience. With little patience, even small troubles will crush you. But with great patience, even big hardships feel lighter. Life is full of problems. No one is free from them. Happiness and sadness are like day and night. One cannot exist without the other. It's just as salt cannot be removed from water, problems cannot be removed from life.
Okay.
But you can choose whether to carry them in a small glass or dissolve them in a vast lake. Ryan listened silently, his heart slowly beginning to understand. The burden he carried inside didn't suddenly disappear, but something shifted. He realized that his suffering wasn't just about the problems he faced. It was about the size of his patience, the space in his heart. That night, Ryan walked back home with a new perspective. He still had no job, his family's words might still sting, and his future was still uncertain. But for the first time in months, he felt lighter. He thought to himself, "My problems are real, but I've been drinking them from a glass. It's time to grow my heart into a lake." From that day forward, Ryan began to change. When small annoyances came, he reminded himself, "This is just a handful of salt in my lake." When family pressure grew, he breathed deeply, expanding his patience. Slowly, the bitterness that once filled his heart began to fade. The lesson from the wise old man stayed with him for the rest of his life. We cannot control how much salt life gives us, but we can choose the size of the vessel we hold it in. Everyone has problems, everyone carries pain. But the way we hold that pain determines whether our life feels bitter or peaceful. If we shrink our hearts, even a single handful of salt will overwhelm us. But if we make our hearts vast, full of patience, kindness, and acceptance, then no matter how much pain life gives, we will still taste peace. So the next time you face hardship, ask yourself, am I holding this in a glass or in a lake? Because the bigger your heart, the lighter your life becomes.